Hello, happy travelers.
We just got back from the Maldives and the Seychelles.
Both amazing tropical bucket list destinations.
We've had a lot of different people ask us which one we thought was better, so we figured we'd break it down and compare both of the destinations.
Well, first things first, where are the Maldives and the Seychelles? They are kind of in the same area. They're both located in the Indian Ocean, with the Maldives being closer to the west coast of India and the Seychelles being closer to the eastern coast of Africa. That's one of the reasons why we decided to visit both of them on the same trip, because we figured if we were in that area of the world, why the heck not?
As the bird flies, they're really not that far away from each other.
But chances are you're going to have to go on an international flight through somewhere like the Middle East to get to each one. There is a way, I think, that you can get direct from island chain to island chain, but I think it's really expensive. If you want to do both in the same trip, just factor in international flights.
Now let's talk about different accommodation options. The Seychelles has an accommodation for every different type of budget. You can stay in hostels or you can stay in luxury resorts.
There aren't as many islands in the Seychelles as there are in the Maldives, but the islands are a lot bigger. So there's actual towns on the islands with a ton of different accommodation options. You could spend a few dollars a day in a hostel in the main city of Victoria, or you could stay in an ultra luxurious resort. It just depends on what your budget is. And everything is relatively close together, so if you wanted to splurge on a couple nights in a luxury resort and do a more budget accommodation the rest of the time, it's really easy to do that in the Seychelles. Not so easy to do that in the Maldives though.
While there are budget options in the Maldives, it's more about the luxury resorts. So with that, you're gonna get a luxury price tag as well. That being said, we were able to get a luxury overwater bungalow for 5 nights at a 5-star resort in the Maldives for only $600. And if you wanna know exactly how we did that, we'll link the video where we found an incredible deal using credit card points to get that price.
There are literally hundreds of islands in the Maldives, so there's not really a direct way to get from island to island like there is in the Seychelles. The Seychelles has really regular ferries. The islands are pretty close together. In the Maldives, they're really spread out. So chances are you're going to be looking at an expensive boat ride or a seaplane ride even if you're staying at one of the luxury resorts.
That makes island hopping a little bit more complicated and a little bit more expensive. So that's where it kind of falls into the more pick one resort, stay there the entire trip.
Unless you have a lot of money to burn, then go wherever the heck you want.
Yep. The Seychelles, on the other hand, you can definitely visit a few different islands and try some different accommodations.
However, the Maldives does have the iconic overwater bungalows that you see. If that's what you're looking for, then you're gonna have to go to the Maldives because the Seychelles doesn't have that. Now let's talk about the different cultures between the Maldives and the Seychelles. Even though they're relatively close to each other in the world, they have totally different cultures.
The Maldives are a predominantly Muslim country and carry a lot of that Muslim culture with them to the resorts and the islands.
So if you stay on one of the local islands that's going to have the more budget options for accommodations, you're going to have to observe Muslim culture. You can't wear bikinis on the beaches, and you might hear the call to prayer several times a day.
If you go the option of a luxury resort, obviously you're gonna have a little more of the resort culture where you can wear whatever swimsuit you want. The Seychelles are part of East Africa, so you're gonna get some of that East African influence on the islands there.
So the people in the Seychelles are called Seychellois, and the locals we met in the Seychelles are probably the nicest people we've ever met in our travels, I would say.
Yeah, everyone was super friendly. We were able to interact with them a little bit more personally because we weren't in that resort atmosphere. The people in the Maldives were definitely very nice, but they were also very professional, and they were more there to serve you at the resort than to really interact with you.
But if you go to the Maldives and you go to a more local island, you'll get more of that. A lot of these categories for the Maldives will really depend on what island you're staying on. Your experience on a local island versus a luxury resort are going to be completely different.
Now let's talk about one of our favorite things, food.
Yes!
We had some really good food in both destinations. Like we said earlier, in the Maldives, we stayed at a resort, so there was plenty of different options for food. All different cuisines were really available. The traditional Maldivian food that we have was more coconut-based dishes, curries, things like that.
More Indian inspired.
Because we were at that resort, the prices for food were extremely high. We're talking $45 cheeseburgers, $100 breakfast buffet. Keep that in mind if you stay at a luxury resort. The food will be good, but it'll also be very expensive. The Seychelles has a lot more options when it comes to dining. You can go to your nicer restaurants, but you can also have budget takeaway places, and that's something that we didn't really see in the Maldives. There was also the option to go to grocery stores in the Seychelles, and that can save you a lot of money if you want to cook your own meals.
As we said, the islands in the Seychelles are a lot bigger, so there are different towns. You could get any international cuisine that you wanted. And again, from budget food all the way up to fine dining. So there's a lot of options for every budget in the Seychelles, unless you go to one of the private island resorts, which there were a few in the Seychelles.
As far as Seychellois cuisine, they have a big Creole influence. So the food that you're gonna get there are going to be different Creole fishes, Creole chicken. We ate a lot of fresh caught fish in the Seychelles as well, which was so good.
Delicious.
Yeah, super tasty.
And everything pretty much comes with rice and French fries in the Seychelles. I got real sick of French fries real fast.
Yeah.
It was good. We had good food in both destinations, but it was a lot cheaper in the Seychelles. All right, let's talk about things to do in each place. Since these are two island nations, a lot of the things to do are kind of similar. They have to do with water sports, swimming, snorkeling, beach life.
While we were in the Maldives, we took some really incredible tours. We were able to go swimming with whale sharks, which is something that we will both never forget. The snorkeling there was really, really good as well. And there's a lot of different options as long as you take a tour through the resort.
As far as the Seychelles, as I mentioned earlier, the islands are a lot bigger, so there's a lot more to explore. There are things like national parks, different islands you can go to that have endangered species of plants and animals that you can see, UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
If you wanted to get away from the beach, the Seychelles had a few options. Explore the jungle.
And since you were close to towns anytime you were in the Seychelles, if you wanted something like nightlife, you'd definitely be more likely to find it in the Seychelles than you would in the Maldives.
However, this really comes down to what you want on your vacation. The resort experience and the resort life can be really, really awesome, but you're kind of stuck at the resort once you're there. And that's great. We've done that before, and that's an incredible vacation. If you want to get away from the resort though and experience a little more of what the locals live like and things like that, I think Seychelles is a better option.
I should mention, if you like to drink on your vacation, you can do that in the Maldives at the resorts. If you want to save money and go to a small local island, you cannot drink as alcohol is banned, since it is a Muslim country and technically you're not even allowed to bring alcohol into the countries. But in the Seychelles, you can find alcohol everywhere. The drink prices were a little expensive from what I was expecting. We even got some amazing drinks on the beach that were made with fresh fruit and local takamaka rum, which was a really great experience just to have those right on the water. It was fun. But like I said, keep that in mind if you want to drink on your vacation. The Maldives, it's a little bit tougher. And now for the most popular question about both of these island chains, which one has better beaches?
That's definitely one of the biggest questions we're asked, and it's a tough one to answer. The Maldives has that pristine, postcard looking, super manicured, beautiful palm tree beach at every resort. The water was insanely clear and super beautiful.
It helped that the resort maintained its own beaches. We stayed at a 5-star resort and we had a 5-star beach. It was incredible. No seaweed, no debris, nothing like that. The water was the absolute most beautiful blue color I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the Maldives had just insanely good water.
I definitely think the Maldives won for marine life. It was similar to French Polynesia when we went. Lots of little reef sharks, stingrays, colorful fish, the whale sharks. They have manta rays in the Maldives as well.
On the other hand, the Seychelles has some of the most unique beaches I've ever seen.
The beaches on the Seychelles are wild, definitely more wild.
We saw beaches with waves. We had beaches that were super shallow and you couldn't do any swimming. There were calm beaches that you could do some swimming. There were beaches with these incredible, iconic Seychelles boulders.
There were rocky beaches, there were beaches with tons of seaweed. The features of the Seychelles beaches just ran the gamut, so there was pretty much something for everyone. I would say that for swimming, the Maldives wins. There were less rocks and things that you could step on and seaweed and stuff like that. It was a lot easier to just jump in the Maldives. And the Seychelles were pretty shallow, so you had to go out really far if you actually wanted to do any swimming.
You have to give some points to the Seychelles though. The beaches with their giant boulders are unlike any other beach in the world.
I think the Anse-sur d'Argent beach is considered one of the best beaches in the entire world, and I can see why.
Yeah, that beach was absolutely incredible, and I've never seen anywhere remotely close to something like that.
I think it had the warmest water I've ever experienced in the ocean. It was just, you could just sit in it all day long. It was like bath water, and I loved it. I didn't want to get out. He had to drag me out.
Yeah, yeah, it was really nice. It was a really, really cool beach. Definitely one of the top beaches I've ever been to.
It's so crazy. People are like, well, they're both tropical islands. Like, they're the same, right? And they're really not at all.
They were so different. The experience at each was both incredible on its own, but very, very different. So just like in our last comparison video, we thought it would be a good idea to both write down our personal favorites and then, without telling each other, reveal them at the same time. You want to go first?
At least you can't guess.
Yeah, put it in my hand. I can't see it. Get that out of here. All right, are you ready? We're gonna go on 3, okay?
Okay.
Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3. You can't decide?
I can't decide.
I had to get into the Seychelles. They were both really incredible destinations, but I just really enjoyed the interaction with the locals that we had in the Seychelles. I liked that it had the ability to explore on your own, which was something that you couldn't really get in the Maldives.
I can't decide. I mean, we had totally different experiences on both of them, because in the Maldives we stayed at an incredible 5-star resort, and I love luxury places like that. We stayed in an overwater bungalow, and it was just a bucket list experience. But the Seychelles was definitely more of a raw, wild kind of experience, where we did a little bit more of that gritty exploring that we love as well.
Yeah.
So they were just two different experiences. I don't really think I can compare them.
It was tough to pick a favorite. They were both really incredible and both super different.
Yeah.
So it really just comes down to what you want for your vacation.
So hopefully this answered any questions you might have about both of these incredible island nations. If you want to ask us anything else, go ahead and drop your question in the comments, and we'll get back to you as best we can.
Also, if you haven't checked out our videos from the Seychelles and the Maldives, we made a ton of different vlogs and a couple different money-saving tips and informational videos, so be sure to go and check those out as well.
And stay tuned, because we have a lot of amazing travels coming up for the rest of the year, and we wouldn't want you to miss those, so make sure you subscribe. But in the meantime, this is Kelly and Kevin from the Awkward Tourists. Peace out. Whoa.
A little bit more of the result culture, where you can...
Resort.
What did I say?
Result. Like, what? Never mind, I don't know what the frick I'm talking about. Forget it, blah.
A lot of fresh fish. We ate a lot of fresh fish.
Fresh fish.
We ate a lot of fresh fish. We ate a lot.
Fish that was fresh.
The Seychelles, on the other hand, the Seychelles